This city looks deserted though. Yeah, it feels more accurately it's based off of from the Hell City or something like that. Hey everybody, this is me, Mario here, and I'm Blossom here, and I'm the smartest one out of all for the Powerpuff Girls, and we are back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos. And welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Generations for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC version. So, yeah, last time we actually did manage to completely done with the Dreamcast era, while we're actually going to be tackling through the challenge actually on the Dreamcast era, as well as we kicked the likes of both Shadow the Hedgehog and even Perfect Chaos. But even then though, that's all we can say about this here. Sorry for the awkward pause right there, for Blossom though, that is. So today for this episode, we're about to continue on and just move on to the third and the final era of the game, which is none other than the modern era. So even then though, the first level we're going to be coming across into, as you can see on screen, though we're going to be doing the first level in the modern era, Crisis City. Now if you remember this level, if you ever played Sonic 06 before, that's the level that it's based off of from. So yeah, because if you couldn't tell already, this is actually going to be the second attempt, sorry for a little bit of a tongue twister right there, I do apologize for that. This is going to be the second attempt of this recording session because we just somehow ended up coming across into a few issues, like, for instance, laptop battery dies really fast, and also not to mention our capture card sometimes feels a bit too laggy at one point. And also our Xbox 360 controller kept on messing up at one point, so that's why we're going to be doing the second attempt. So even though we're not going to have as too many troubles, unlike it does in the first attempt. So, but as far as in the moment, the first attempt footage has gone lost. So yeah, because as far as I can tell already, that yeah. So here we go, on to Crisis City, ever since the first appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, or Sonic the Hedgehog, if you like to prefer calling it that, but I just usually kind of prefer calling it Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, because they share the exact same name as the classic title, but even then though, that's all there was to say about this, so. But even then though, I've heard from a lot of people they really despise Crisis City in the original version. Well, I usually don't mind Crisis City too much. The only time I usually found is to have a bit of a struggle in that one time is actually the third and final section. Oh wait, it's actually the fourth section actually for the Sonic segment of Crisis City. Because, you know, there's actually the Mark Speed section that you have to dodge a crap ton of garages, or in this case, no, not so much garage, but just a ton of cars and rocks all over the place. So yeah, that could be a bit of a problematic, mind you, for that Mark Speed section, but thankfully though, the Mark Speed section wasn't still around, so even then that we don't have to worry about this stuff. So yeah, as far as we already established earlier that this is based off of from Sonic 06, but even then that's usually that in Sonic 06, that this is what used to be the third level for Shadow, and the fourth level for Sonic, and the first ever level for the Hedgehog, so even then that's pretty nicely introduced. But even then though, I really don't mind Crisis City actually makes a returning for this game, because even then though, I think to me, Crisis City was actually one of my favorite levels in Sonic 06, and even especially noticeable in the Sonic Generations version as well. Because for one thing, I really do enjoy the music in the soundtrack of the Sonic 06 game, because oh man, the music is so fantastic. But even though, that's the only good part about Sonic 06 to me though. But as far as I'm aware, that yeah. But usually people calls it Sonic 06 the worst ever Sonic game that's ever made. Well, I won't say this was actually the worst Sonic games I've ever played, but usually it goes for more accurately in my third worst Sonic games list. Ah man, we could potentially trying to finish off the level throughout, but thanks to this darn tornado, they're just trying to let this signboard or this signpost get away. But even then, also I could say, what in the world? What's up with Classic Sonic's position? I don't know what about you, Blossom. I really don't know why. So anyways, let's go ahead and avoid this orange flame tornado, because if you get caught by that, it's instant death. So you have to watch out, because even then that will's trying to suck you up as well. So, and also there's going to be a lot of bottomless pits all over the place this time around, because obviously there's tons of bottomless pits now. So even then though, we have to dodge those, because you know, if you see those signs like this, they have to specifically try to jump over these edges of the platform. So. But ultimately, this is going to be the third, and in this case, the final section of this level, so simply you have to fight for the gust of wind. And if you do that, then that's how you essentially end the level, just from this point here. At least I'm glad it does not get away again. At least it did throw me off at one point, because even then though, if you have a first time playing through Sonic Generations on your first run through, then you're probably thinking that you might actually reach into the signboard to begin with. But thanks to this little flame tornado department, usually kept on let that thing get away from us. So anyway, so that does it for Crisis City Act 1. Now we're going to be continuing on with the Act 2 of Crisis City. In this case, modern Sonic's version of Crisis City. So hopefully we don't get too much any troubles or anything like that. So yeah, we only got one red star ring. So yeah, I believe the one of the friends we need to actually rescue for after we actually completely restore with Crisis City is actually a form of Blaze the Cat. Even then, that's all there's to really say. Okay, so this is going to be the final part we're going to be doing this, but we'll just have to ignore it. Okay, quick error right there. Sorry about that, folks. We have to do the second attempt on this level as well, because much like Act 1, we did usually suck in this level so badly. Well, that's only because we have no idea what we're doing. So anyway, let's try this level again. And hopefully we can actually just able to actually just to be much more improvements. So, anyway though, as far as I'm aware, that this is the final level we're going to be come across into this modern Sonic's movesets, which is the forms of the Stomp ability, which in order you can perform that is by simply that if you ever played Sonic Unleashed before on the Xbox 360 and PS3 version, basically, if you jump in midair for either A button or the X button, whatever version you prefer, or even, and then also at the same time, you can actually press the square or X button if, again, what version you, oh no, the circle button, I have to say. Okay, so I need to apologize for this little button commands messed up right there, so yeah, while simply performing the Stomp ability, you have to jump in midair, and then, depends on what version you'll be playing, you can simply just press the B button on the Xbox 360 version. If you play the PlayStation 3 version, you have to press the circle button, so that's all there's to really say about this here, so. And then once you perform all of these movesets for modern Sonic, then you're able to get the achievement from that way. But sometimes, in most occasions, that most of the time that everyone always seems to encounter, and now's the form of the achievement you usually you can get from the get-go after when you're actually just trying to explore speed highway level, which is kind of a weird odd thing, mind you. So anyway though, as far as I'm aware, for today, we're actually going to be discussing quite a few things, actually. Is that, number one, that, you remember that Sonic and Piglet usually already mentioned about Cars 3 that we've already seen throughout the cinemas? I actually think that film is actually pretty good, though, I have to admit, though. Even though it wasn't as great as the first film is handled. But even then, though, I really don't mind the third film, because for one, they mainly focused on Lightning McQueen, of course, because obviously Lightning McQueen is the main character of the Cars series. But not so much for Mato, because oh my god, Cars 2 is usually the worst film as ever existence. Plus, some kind of thing about it, they did always bring up the flashbacks from the first film is handled, which technically Cars 2 wasn't exactly canon though. But even then though, that there's no sign of Holly Sheftwell at all. But even then though, that's as far as I'm aware, and at the same time I got confused on the second film, so. At least thankfully though, that this is what it should be in the rest of the story concept in Cars 2. Not so much the you know, the dumb idea, but I digress though. So this is where you're actually able to actually use the Stomp ability just to begin with, but simply just actually constantly doing this, there's lava Kaising platforms, and then I have no idea why we got hurt right there, because obviously there's yet another red star wing, while simply just able to actually get to this point, and then, drat. We did not make it just in time. There we go. And it's gonna be the final section of this level. That tornado is carrying the car. Really? Is that what we're gonna be saying here? So yeah, basically in this section right there is that we need to actually dodge cars and rocks coming from the tornado. So it's like, that tornado is carrying the car. So anyway though, there's also the secret achievement, but unfortunately though, we have exactly failed on this achievement. In order to actually unlock that achievement, or trophy if you will, is by simply you have to make it for this part without taking hit, without getting hit, sorry for that little tangent, without getting hit by the cars or rocks. So even now, if you do that performance just well enough, then you should be able to get yourself a trophy or achievement. So that was it. That's Crisis City done. So yeah, not too bad actually. So yeah, and I believe we're now going to be rescuing Blaze the Cat, so aka the princess from another dimension.
much as I dislike relying on others, I'm grateful for your aid. The creature was beyond my skills.
Anyway, that's out of the way. Now we rescue, Blaze the cat, obviously. So even then, though, that, I usually don't mind how Blaze usually just stands next to, Crisis City, but even though she doesn't do anything in the story in, Sonic 06 department, but usually that, usually, from what I can tell, that Blaze the cat was actually still one of my favorite, female Sonic characters. But even then, she usually beats up with, Princess Elise for that regard, because, oh my gosh, I despise her so much. Okay, another quick area right there, because this is going to be the third attempt we're going to be doing this level, because the first two attempts, we suck at it. We're going to say that much right now. But anyways, here we go, folks. As you can see on screen, the next level we're about to be run into is actually based off of the level from Sonic Unleashed for both the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii, and PlayStation 2 variant, and obviously form of Rooftop Run, aka Spagonia. So, as you expected, that usually takes place in, I would say, France and stuff like that. Because, yes, basically in this level's gimmick is that we're going to have to constantly get onto these little platforms, as you can see right there. Even though, granted, though, we did actually failed on that last platform over there. But let's just go ahead and shove over for this cube over there until we actually just proceed. So, anyway, so, at this point in time, between Crisis City was actually forms of the third city level that we already discovered through. In fact, Rooftop Run was also the city level, so even then, that makes it up to 4 city levels. So even then, I kind of wish there's more to it with the level environments, like the snowy level, or even the underwater level. But even then, the water level already been taken from the 3DS version for the likes of the Water Palace from Sonic Rush. So even then, yeah. So obviously that this place is originated from Sonic Unleashed, released in 2008. In fact, we haven't actually discussed upon the Crisis City that much, is that they first appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, which is obviously came out in 2006 after all. So well, obviously we only got 2 more regular levels left, in addition to 4 acts of each level as well, amongst one hand. So even then, things don't able to get twice as more complicated and more than that. So, anyways, enough about the little jibby jabber, so let's talk about some new things we're going to be discussing first. First things first, that we actually got ourselves our brand new DVD in our hands, in UK, that is. Granted, that film usually came out not too long ago in North America, and that was in form of, well, specifically on DVD, and that was in form of Beauty and the Beast 2017 version. So, but even then, I'm actually really surprised, and also at the same time, I really enjoyed this film. But even then, though, that maybe at some point that I don't know if we can actually do a film commentary at one point, because even then, though, I remember that when I looked up the video called The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D and Rio DVD unboxings back in during the 2011, if I were heard. That video right there, Blossom, is actually almost 6 years old in that time, didn't it? Oh yeah, because, you know, it did came out in 2011 in that time. So, anyway though, and that almost gonna screw us over in the end. But as long as we actually got ourselves yet another extra life, because we have to constantly restart this level over and over and over again, just in case if we actually just to do this in the greatest run. So, hopefully we're not doing too terrible at the moment, so things getting a little bit too out of hand. So, anyway though, so yeah, as far as the Rooftop Run is concerned, I actually really don't mind Rooftop Run, because as far as Spagonia and Rooftop Run is concerned from Sonic Unleashed, this is probably one of my favorite levels in Sonic Unleashed, because it feels fast and frantic, and everything else, it feels energetic, especially noticeable in the daytime levels, most likely, and also in the music as well, that I absolutely loved as well. So even then, that, you know, it feels more likely, sort of, you know, feel nice and relaxing, so yeah. So obviously that since we got Beauty and the Beast DVD, we also managed to realize is that, you know how when Sonic and Piglet already discussed upon that how our iPhone is usually not working at the moment? It turns out that our iPhone 5 is now currently fixed. What happens was though is that it's not so much for the actual problems or anything like that. The only problem we actually got ourselves, we managed to discover first, that we actually discovered there was actually a little bit of a bendy, or in this case, a little bit of a damaged battery. So even then, that's why it kept it, draining batteries on purpose, which it's nothing to do with the application's fault. It will definitely have to be the battery itself. Which even then though, if you can see this little markings, although we can't usually see on image right now because we don't have ourselves a little bit of an editing processing software at the moment. But if you come across into this really weird odd-shaped design of the iPhone's battery, if that got a little bit of a lump there, that's what usually counts as like draining batteries too much. So yeah, that's how we managed to discover that and doing right about now. But thankfully though, it doesn't seem to actually just to be broken now. So yeah, pretty happy about this actually. So hopefully we can actually catch up to on these little filmings department as far as it is worth knowing for until, you know, my video game collection video until at some point in the future. Well, granted though, Mario, I'm pretty sure we have to wait for a little bit longer because we need to get more Nintendo Switch titles. Well, usually, I believe Sonic and Piglet already established earlier that we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for Nintendo Switch. But I digress though, so now we move on to Act 2 of Rooftop Run, aka one of the greatest levels in Sonic Generations. I usually found both Sonic Unleashed version on this level and this particular version of this level is super fun. Especially notice about that the layout is almost exactly feels identical to the original counterparts, except they did actually miss out on two features. Like for number one, they missed out on this little skydiving sequence down to the the tunnel hallway, and also the swell rail grinding off the bat. So everything else just should be fine and doubly checked. So yeah, as you can see, there's original Professor Pickle's lab in the distance. Even though we could be potentially trying to break through it right there, but obviously since we already just managed to see the library over there, which is incredibly inspired by the Professor Pickle's lab. So yeah, I actually really like this level actually. So anyway though, and obviously in this section right there, we need to dodge a lot of spike barrels. We're playing like Donkey Kong all over again. Except the fact that they contain spikes on them. So yeah, I just have to do a lot of quick step work. So that's all that we can really say about this point, to be honest with you guys. Besides the actual fact that we only got about 11 days to go until Hey Pikmin from the Nintendo 3DS might actually come in that day. So even then though, that I'm expecting that both Sonic and Deathé are expecting to actually finish that Let's Play just in time. So even then, or in this case, during the Pikmin 3 Let's Play, as far as that's been a word. So, yeah, that should be happening until right off the bat. So, yeah, that's definitely happening. So, anyway, though, yeah, for this particular camera angle right there, it feels almost exactly match up to, we can't usually just scale for those little clock tower, but in this case, yeah. So this is another way you can actually get yourselves a Trickster achievement. While simply actually keep on doing this particular times, then you should be able to actually get yourselves the achievement no problem. So not too bad, I have to say so for myself. So anyway, another thing is worth mentioning though is that I'm guessing there's not much else we can talk for this point besides the actual fact that oh yeah, besides the fact there's one exciting part that I must point things out though, and I'm sure many people already will, is that there consist of two things that did happen in the Kingdom Hearts 3 D23 Expo, Disney Expo thing. Which what happens was though is that they did announce a brand new world, but not just any brand new world, but a Pixar world. Which is actually based off of from Toy Story. So even I know that whenever I looked up at the footage of it, I was so happy to actually let the Toy Story world to be happening in Kingdom Hearts 3. Which, to me, that's seriously is kind of a surprise thing, because we haven't exactly got a Pixar world in any other Kingdom Hearts games before. Because usually in the previous games, they always seem to actually come across into a classic Walt Disney Classics rest of the world story that is. So, yeah, we'll talk more details as soon as we get into the ninth and the final level in the entire game. Because right now, we're going to be dodging those robots over there. They're constantly spazzing out these little lasers over there. By the way, if you get hit by these little laser projectiles, then you easily lose ranks just like so. And as you guys can tell, that we actually got ourselves our 5th red ring over there, almost towards the end of the level actually. And that red star ring as we grabbed, that's actually forms of the secret achievement as well. In order to actually get the secret achievement on this level is by simply grabbing that 5th red ring on the ending section. So, and if you do that successfully, then obviously your achievement is about to belongs to you. So yeah, that was about it for Rooftop Run. I actually really enjoyed this level so much. But even then, I'm really glad that this level makes a debut in this game this time. So yeah, that's all there is to say. So, and I believe one of the Sonic's friends we're going to actually able to restore Vector the Crocodile. Find a computer room.
Thanks, Sonic. You know, I got a hunch someone or something is controlling that monster.
Oh, and by the way, for this particular Vector the Crocodile saved cutscene, it doesn't matter what models of either classic Sonic or modern Sonic you're going to be selecting through after restoring completely with the Rooftop Run level. Vector will say the exactly same dialogue as between classic Sonic and modern Sonic, so even then though, there's nothing remarkably different about it. So besides the actual point though, so anyway. Now we move on to the final level in Sonic Generations, and that was the form of based off of a popular Wii title for the Sonic Games department for the Nintendo Wii, which is actually based off of Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo DS. But even then though, welcome to Planet Wisp. So even then though, that's usually based off of obviously Sonic Colors released in 2010. So because, you know, Sonic Colors did came out before this game came around. So even then, what I found is super odd about it is the fact, although besides Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, there's no major 3D Sonic game has been released in 2012. But I digress though, so yeah, for Planet Wisp this time around though, in this version in particular, is that we're going to be exploring for this golden part for about like a couple of seconds worth knowing for anyway, which I found is kind of cool. And also that, as you can see, we're going to be taking control of one of these returning Wisp powers ever since the actual Sonic Colors game. Which, there's one from the Pink Spike Wisp, where this allows you can actually stick up to any wall, and you'll be covered in spikes. Even then though, that much like how it does in Sonic Colors, that you're able to actually perform these very familiar moves at this point. Like, basically if you press it and hold down the X or the square button, yep, square button as it is, for the PS3/Xbox 360 version, you're still able to perform the light speed dash until you actually get yourselves a little bit of some speed with that Pink Spike Wisp. So that's actually worth knowing for right off the bat. And also that right off the bat though is that in order to actually transform into Wisp this time around is that although usually you have to simply just press the one button, but when we get to Act 2 version of Planet Wisp, that you might actually think it might be a little bit different compared to Pink Spikes. Now obviously in order to actually activate the Wisp powers by simply you have to press the Y button on the Xbox 360 version, and then the PlayStation 3 version is the triangle button. So yeah, just like how it does in the actual ability power-ups for classic Sonic, as far as we already established that in during the Ring Time challenge in the likes of the Sky Century level challenges. So yeah, for the most part, that Planet Wisp, compared to the original version, that I usually really love the original version of Planet Wisp. But for this version, to me, it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Well, it's not so bad in Act 1, but the only problem I have with the level itself, especially when we get to Act 2, is that the level itself is by far the longest level in the entire Sonic Generations game. Not only because there's going to be a lot of segments that most of the time we're going to be spending around in the garden. However, though, the majority of this level's level length, as far as this is being concerned, is that we need to constantly get onto this little building construction site. So even then, though, there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to be spending in this one section for a couple of minutes worth knowing for. So yeah, that's how it usually goes and how it works. So. But even then, I don't usually mind about this level length as far as it's worth knowing for, because even then though, what makes the Sonic Colors so short by comparison to this game in particular is the fact that obviously you do have 6 acts per level as well as 7 zones throughout. But even then though, although expecting the boss battle as well, but even then though, Sonic Generations still usually contain 2 bosses per era, and also for the likes of just 2 acts in the respective stages. So right off the bat though, there's yet another red star ring, in case if you want to grab it so badly, then by all means give it to you. So yeah, the majority of Act 1's gimmick of Planet Wisp is by simply constantly be using this pink spiked wisp. So even though if you actually just try to use that, then you have to usually use that for specific sections of the level, like basically for example we need to actually get onto this little sticked up cogs, so just in case you're able to solve this puzzle. So once you figured this out though, then you're able to actually proceed to move on to the next point of the level. So that's how it usually works for this level's gimmick though. But even then though, that I really seem to really don't mind about that, how the fact that the Wisp does make a return. But even then though, that in the 3DS version of Sonic Generations, you can only actually access to the 2 Wisps, which are specifically in the Tropical Resort level, which are the Laser Wisp for, I'm assuming, for the modern Sonic version, and the classic Sonic version you have to use the Red Flame. So even then though, that's only exclusive, also exclusive for Sonic Colors for the DS as well. So even then though, I believe Chip and Duffy already established that in the Sonic Colors Let's Play, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did already. So, yeah, what I found is super odd about it is that the color palette on the pink spikes is actually a little bit too brighter compared to how it does it before. Because even then, though, this is supposed to be the HD game after all. But even then, though, that, yeah. And what I found is super odd about it is that if you actually use the speed up shoes item, if you actually use the pink spikes wisp to begin with, you get yourselves a little bit more accurately a speed up music version of Planet Wisp Act 1. But even then though, that's after when you actually touch yourself the Wisp capsule item, basically it will repeat it all the way back to the beginning of the music it's been playing throughout every time you use the pink Wisp power. So yeah, that was it for Act 1 of Planet Wisp. And speaking of such, now we're going to be moving on to the final act and possibly the final level for Modern Sonic, and now it's the form of Act 2 of Planet Wisp. So even then though, we're going to have to come across into, I'm assuming this is easily without doubt the longest level in the entire game, because, you know, we'll explain more details as soon as we're actually just about to jump in. So anyways, let's get started right here. So, and by the way, if you those would be very curious about if what happens if you manage to grab yourselves all these red star rings in that particular Act 1 of Planet Wisp, you get yourselves a very special reward, but we'll explain more on details on that as soon as we get into the extra video, as a matter of fact. But that will definitely going to happen. And of course, much like Act 1, we're going to be starting things off with a grassy field area, and also same goes for the likes of how it does in Act 1 of the original Planet Wisp in the Sonic Colors game, is that obviously we're going to be starting things up with the gardening area. And I believe that since how the fact that in the original Sonic Colors of Planet Wisp that you don't usually go ahead and explore quite a lot in the garden section, but thankfully though in this game you can actually explore a whole lot of it. So even then though, that makes it more likely adaptive though for definitely the most impressive version of Planet Wisp to me though anyway. So if you want to take a shortcut, you just have to hold and attack onto these little bus stormers, and also you just have to light dash through here, and you simply just actually completely void the platforming section as well. So yeah, and another thing is worth mentioning though is that every time when we're actually trying to cut out some of these scenes up for these little voice cuts and all that stuff, for the love of God, the programming just kept crashing all the time, which is not able to sound to be surprising for me though. But I digress, checkpoint right there, so even though we should probably know what we're doing. So yeah, in addition to actually climbing for those little trees and all that kinds of stuff, and grantedly though, there's going to be a lot of times we're going to be, are those cannons supposed to be there? But even though they're usually heavily borrowed from the Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes, kind of thing about it. But even then, I don't know why they were there. But I digress. So here we go folks, here we have ourselves our Orange Rocket Wisp. That Wisp does make a return for the likes of Sonic Colors for Nintendo Wii, and also same likes of the DS version of Sonic Colors as well. The biggest difference here this time around though, I think this is a perfect example, we're going to be explaining this. Unlike the original Sonic Colors, that specifically the Orange Rocket Wisp, that granted though, if you want to actually activate it, you must simply just press the button. Or in this case, just press the Z button if you play in the GameCube controller option. But this time, however, in this game in particular, you have to hold down the Y button or the triangle button, whatever version you prefer, what version you'll be playing. That what happens was though, if you just press the button, then it will not activate it properly. So you have to hold until you actually let go until when it starts to transform. So even then though, that after you perform it just right, then you're able to actually blast off into the skies, just like how it does in the original Sonic Colors. So, yeah, that's usually all I can say about this here. So I digress, so we're going to be spending most of the time just to walk around in this little building section, in this case a construction site going on here. But even then though, we actually did record this for over 30 minutes at this one point, because usually we have to go for every single stages we have to tackle through, so yeah. So anyways, let's pull ourselves a little bit of a trick combo every now and then, so even then though, we can hopefully guarantee we can try to come across towards that. There's also the secret achievement in this case, in this level in particular, and in order to actually do this is that you need to actually find yourselves the yet another red star ring, but this time you have to be forming at the right point for the orange rocket wisp. So even then though, that will explain more details on that as soon as we get to this one part. So even then though, yeah. So yeah, the majority in the end of this level is by simply we have to go for this construction building site right now. So even then though, there's going to be a lot of times we're going to be riding onto those platforms, as you can see. That in order to actually just to somehow try to proceeding forward, it's by simply you have to just, you know, grab onto these little platforms. And if you grab this orange rocket wisp, you have to be on this point here, because there is actually a way you can get yourself a secret achievement from. Because if you grab that, then secret achievements awarded to you. However, though, you don't get it until you actually finish the level first. So even then, that's something is a little bit too off-putting in my part. But even then, it doesn't matter too much in the Sky Sanctuary level, and especially noticeable in Chemical Plant level for Act 1 of Sky Sanctuary level and Act 2 in Chemical Plant level. But as for everything else, for collecting these red rings and all that stuff, and as well as destroying 30 cars in City Escape and stuff like that, it usually just sort of feels a bit, you know, conservational of any words. So, at the same time, the Red Star Ring and Seaside Hill for the Hidden Room. So, yeah, that's all you can say about this. So, yeah, the majority of the ending part of this level is that we need to actually reach the highest, point of the entire construction tower. So, even though that's all there's to really talk about for this point. So, anyway, though, so let's blast through everything that's been going on here. So, everything else should be doubly checked. So anyways, yeah, as you can tell, you can tell for this little, estimation marks spots right there, this means it's about time to you to actually use the Wisp. You have to be very quick on this part, because if you do not make it in nick of time with this particular part like this, then you're obviously going to get crushed. So even though, in order to actually just about to, like, proceeding forward is by simply you have to get onto this correct spot until you actually, before you get yourselves crushed, and then once you perform it just well enough, then you're able to actually avoid that trap. So, and this is it. That's the end of the Planet Wisp Act 2. Jeez, we spent about 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Jeez, that was by far the longest level in the entire game for me. So yeah, we got ourselves the secret achievement called Color Power, and also we got ourselves Big Bang. So in order to actually get ourselves a Color Power achievement, it's by simply just finding yourselves the Red Star Ring if you actually use that orange rocket wisp. And of course, if you want to actually get yourselves the Big Bang achievement or trophy, it's by simply you have to get all the S ranks in any regular level. So with the boss battles combined, I don't think boss battles doesn't count. So even then, that's usually a huge bonus for that department right there.
Dude, there's the emerald. Pretty slick move, huh?
I was scared because somebody took me, but now I'm free! I'm a free bee! Free bee! Free bee! Whee!
So yeah, we've now managed to rescue Charmy the Bee, and also at the same time we managed to get ourselves our 5th Chaos Emerald, which is the actual forms of the red color. So that means we can now actually access the challenge acts in the modern era. So even then though, that's all the levels in Sonic Generations has to offer. So yeah, that's pretty awesome actually. So I guess we'll have to end things off here at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen. So join us next time on Let's Play Sonic Generations. It's the fact that we're going to be moving on to the challenge acts in modern era. So see you guys next time for that. Later fellas, see you guys then.